my thought process was like, well, whoever owned Rome, did they see that trying to repair Rome was economically not a good idea, and that maybe it was a better idea to, instead of trying to save Rome, let Rome fall, and they'll be able to protect their interests, and they'll save money, and it'd be better to let Rome fall because it's not really going to truly affect them. They're rich and wealthy, and they could just bounce, and they can go to another civilization or start a whole another empire. If that's the case, then I mean, then the people who really are affected by the fall of Rome were the commoners, the everyday people, the peasants, the people who, basically kept the empire like functioning essentially. And sometimes I wouldn't like to say sometimes, I would say a lot of times, and maybe it's just because I'm focusing on it, and maybe that's the thing too, but a lot of times when I look at a lot of places in America, and I look at just the morale, and I look at the society and what's considered normal, I look at it and I'm like, yo, something isn't right. Like something doesn't feel right about like the society. And it's almost as if like, I'll be looking at it, I'm like, yo, it looks like the society's on like a downfall, like a decline, like the civilization. And I feel like the people aren't able to really see it. You know what I mean? They're not able to truly, or if they are able to see it, people are apathetic to it. So the people just people put their head in the sand like an ostrich and kind of like don't really care. And we're so like distracted by every headline in the news, and so much like entertainment, and so much just like senseless like content. We're so distracted by it that people can't really see it, so there's no chance to really like revolt in a way. So it's almost like a slow and steady decline in just like prosperity and the ideals of what freedom really is about in America. And I feel like they find a way to make people totally apathetic to it, and to the people who can see it okay with it, totally like supporting it, almost like so totally like supporting an agenda that is like really like an agenda for their downfall. That's what I feel like people see, and it's almost like, what can you do about it? You know what I mean? Like, what are you able to really honestly do about it? Like, you can talk about it all day, and but it's like, are we actually gonna like start a fucking like revolution, or do you let the ship sink and try to get off the fucking ship? You know what I'm saying? And build your own ship and get off and get away, rather than trying to save the ship. Especially when the people on the ship low-key want the ship to go down, or like they're okay with it. I don't know, it's weird. I don't know, maybe I'm just speaking in metaphors and I'm not speaking totally direct, and I could be more direct, but it almost feels like in America that there's almost some sort of a decline in the society as far as prosperity, and there's just something like that's changing about it, and the way humans relate to one another. And I see it more on a social aspect, and I just don't like it. And I feel like it doesn't allow, I feel like it doesn't allow a person to be their very best self. You know what I'm saying? If your very best self, I feel like trying to be your very best self in this world, in this society, within the system, it's almost like you'll get pulled back, because I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe I'm just not on the right. I don't have the right information yet. I'm still thinking. I'm still trying to like put all my words together. But I feel like something's wrong with the society, where there's almost like this apathy that's being created specifically in men. It's almost like the masculine imperative is like being like siphoned out of like the psychology and out of our values. And that masculine imperative is to, be ambition, conquer, take action, like make the world like like shape the world, like go out into the world and conquer and create. And I feel like that is being pulled when you come to them and talk to them about financial prosperity and becoming wealthy, you know, it's almost like a lot of people are not about that. Like a lot of people are not like on to that idea. Like the ideology of most people is, well, money isn't everything, money isn't important. You know, we don't need to be focused on that. And or they're not, even if they say they are, they're not actually like serious. So it's really, I find it difficult to find people who are like just on the same page as me when it comes to that financial prosperity. And like the other day I was like talking to someone about money, about how we need to like come up with a business. Let's come up with business ideas. What could we do? And it's like, a lot of people are just like, no, that's not a good idea. We don't need to do all that. Like, we shouldn't be focusing on trying to make money. And I'm like, well, why do you work 80 hours a week? Don't you realize you're working 80 hours a week? Like, you're working all the time for money. But you don't want to find a way to make money without the system. And that system is like totally pimping you. You know what I mean? And it's like people are just okay with that. And I feel like that automatically tells you the psychology of the people. If someone is okay with the system pimping them, what does that tell you they're thinking like? They're thinking like hoes. Let's just put it that way. If you are in a situation and you feel like you're getting the less end and you're being exploited, and you're actually okay with that, and you're a man, you're thinking like a hoe. That's automatically thinking like a hoe. It's automatically thinking like and I don't want to say thinking like a woman, because not, you know what I mean, but it's more natural for like a woman to be the hoe, right? In the situation, to be exploited. And I'm not saying that all women think that way, but it's like, it's almost like the man is approaching life from a feminine perspective. If you're okay with being pimped, if you're okay with like the system kind of like controlling you, it's totally what it is. Yo, what's poppin'? Everybody who's in the chats, I appreciate you guys for listening. What's poppin'? We rocking, we rolling. But yeah, I don't know if anybody really feels what I'm saying, but I feel like that has to do, that mindset of people being okay with a system like that's kind of like not allowing them to have freedom, and they're being pimped by the system, and that masculine imperative to be ambitious and wanting to do more in life, and people are more apathetic. It's like this weakening of the society. And so one thing I feel like is that's one thing that's happening, is that there's like, it's like people, I'm not saying people are just weak people, but I feel like character isn't preached anymore. It's like I feel like there's a society of weak character traits, weak characters. And I feel like it makes you, as a man, as myself, who I believe I have strong character, and I believe in the value of improving my character and not being comfortable with having a lack of character. Like, I'm not okay with that. I work on my integrity. I believe in that, and I'm like, yo, you know what? I think that like if we have a society where people don't see that as like something as of importance, that's not healthy. That means I feel like I can't trust the people in our society. Like, I can't trust them. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel good. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like when people talk about like, people be talking about like religion and how our society in America has become more of almost like a godless society. Like, it's not like, I honestly feel like if I just mention God in most circles, a lot of people wouldn't say they truly believe in God. They're more spiritual. They don't, you know what I'm saying? At least in the city that I'm living in. And I'm like, yo, I don't really like that, you know what I'm saying? Because recognizing like how God, just the knowingness of a God, and knowing that there is a God watching me, it does make me question my integrity and recognize, oh, I have to work on myself. It's not okay. It's not okay to do wrong. You know what I mean? If I know am I right, I like, and if I've ever transgressed that, it's like I still hold myself accountable. Like I'm not somebody who can't admit my faults. I'll look at myself and be like, that wasn't right. You know what I'm saying? because I made mistakes. I'm a human being. I'm not like, I'm not always saying the perfect thing, and I'm not always making the perfect decision. Sometimes I look back, I'm like, God, that wasn't cool. Maybe that was a jackass thing to do. And like most men are not like totally about the masculine, to be masculine excellent, have masculine excellence with their character. I think exactly. A godless world is in chaos.